Hisoka's much-awaited battle against Chrollo resulted in the murder magician getting a dose of his own medicine. A lethal dose. However, owing to his nen having the properties of both rubber and gum, together with the evoked power of post-mortem nen, Hisoka, in a moment of inspiration, managed to successfully resuscitate himself and return to the mortal coil as a living avatar of vengeance, spite, and pettiness, dead set on killing Chrollo and utterly dismantling the thing he cares for most, one leg at a time. The question I aim to answer in this video is whether Hisoka is more powerful now than before his battle with Chrollo, and if so, to what degree, if at all, is he empowered by the effect of post-mortem nen. Let's go about answering this query by first laying out what we know about post-mortem nen. Death does not necessarily mean the end of a nen user's nen output, or even their existence. See, nen is a reflection of one's willpower and emotional state, and the heightened emotional valence and psychological stress induced by intense and nerve-wracking situations will almost always lead to either a significant surge or a considerable diminishment in a nen user's output, thus making them either temporarily more or less powerful depending on how they are able to deal with the situation at hand. Now, arguably there isn't a single human experience that can rival the sheer emotional valence and psychological stress of experiencing your own imminent demise. Should that demise indeed come to pass, the user's nen wouldn't necessarily simply dissipate. Instead, one of three things can happen. A. The user's nen continues to carry on and execute the user's final wishes at the time of their death, powered by, for example, a preternatural sense of duty and instinct to protect, such as in the case of Pito, or a desire to stave off true defeat and continue living, such as in the case of Hisoka. B. Their nen can reverberate to curse those individuals the user had a particularly strong enmity towards. This is especially likely if the detested individual in question is either in proximity of the nen user at the time of their death, or if they are somehow imbued with their nen, such as was the case with Chrollo being imbued and cursed by Kurapika's judgment chain, making it impossible for the troop to go and lift it by killing Kurapika, or else seriously risk killing the boss as well. Or C. They give in to their terror and despair and become low-level nen spirits, as First Prince Benjamin termed them. These spirits are most likely vestiges of deceased individuals, forced to feed off the misery and life force of weak-willed and vulnerable people in order to maintain their pathetic existence. Please note that we currently know very little about these entities, so pretty much everything I said here was just my assumption. I may make a video on this aspect of Hunter x Hunter's world building relatively soon, so I'll leave it at that for now. With all that said and established, I am of the opinion that Hisoka is not under a passive post-mortem power boost, because, based on everything we've seen from it thus far, I firmly believe that the effects of post-mortem nen are temporary by nature. This for 4 reasons. Firstly, all the manifestations of post-mortem nen I've talked about are transient ones. The nen spirits are different since their aim is to maintain themselves. However, considering they're seemingly not ubiquitous in the Hunter x Hunter world, without an outside source to latch on and leech nen out of, they'd surely dissipate rather quickly. Secondly, Hisoka's last will and testament to his bungee gum was, and I quote, "Spring to life after my death, pump my heart, my lungs, stroke me all over to revive me." Dude can't keep from molesting his own internal organs, god damn! And that's exactly what happened. As soon as Shalnark and Kortopi conveniently leave, Bungee Gum springs to life, pun intended, pumps and strokes Hisoka all over, and revives the self-molesting magician. Hisoka's final wishes were executed, and as such, the effects and powers of post-mortem nen began and ended with his resuscitation. As a side note, I don't know if you were around when that chapter came out, but my god, did my little corner of the internet explode when it did. It was so fun to watch those praising it as the pinnacle of shonen creative writing, duking it out with those seething at how it was an ass pool. I wish I was making chapter reviews back then. Or at least consistent regular videos. Sorry, tangent over. Moving on. Thirdly, we have a precedent of post-mortem Nen seemingly not offering any kind of long-term power boost. Specifically with second Prince Camilla and her Hatsu cat's name, the cat who lived 1,000,000 times. This ability uses death of the user as a condition in order to trigger, employing the power of post-mortem Nen in order to create its effects to instantaneously one-shot an opponent and turn them into a life-giving substance, which is then used to promptly revive Camilla with. There's no indication that she was in any way more powerful after having been revived. Now, even if this boost isn't cumulative, as in even if she doesn't get progressively stronger each time she revives, which definitely isn't the case by the way, that'd be insane, you'd still expect her to at least experience a short-term power boost from the lingering after effects of post-mortem Nen. But there was no such indication. The post-mortem Nen obeyed her will to activate her Hatsu, and that was the end of that. To be fair, this particular point is probably the weakest, since this is a case of post-mortem Nen being used as a condition to make a Hatsu possible, which isn't really analogous to what Hisoka did. But I believe it still very much helps with making a cumulative argument. And the fourth and final reason why Hisoka isn't experiencing a long-term post-mortem power-up is because, quite simply, no one has mentioned it. Hisoka told Machi exactly how he survived Chrollo's onslaught, and she saw his revival happen firsthand. Considering the troops and Hisoka's currently rather strained relationship, let's call it, there's absolutely no reason why Machi wouldn't have revealed exactly how Hisoka survived to the rest of the troop. Yet despite this, no one has gone out of their way to mention that they must now be far more wary of Hisoka, as he may have been empowered by his resurrection. As such, while he may not be empowered by post-mortem Nen, this doesn't mean that he isn't more powerful following his battle with Chrollo. I'd actually argue he's definitely more powerful. Being a top-tier fighter like Hisoka, it's difficult to find opponents who'll push you to your limit and allow you to level up. And Chrollo did much more than that. Just to survive, Hisoka had to use every trick in the book and showcased applications of his bungee gum we've never seen before. While some of them were, I'm sure, practiced, I'm also confident that fight inspired him to push past his limits and utilize bungee gum in ever more efficient and creative ways. Furthermore, just going from meta battle shonen standards and tropes, him surviving a fight that literally killed him basically guarantees that Hisoka's received a reasonable Zenkai boost. Now, this natural boost isn't nearly as big of a power-up when compared to what a lot of people expected the post-mortem boost to be. I've seen people in the comments comparing a post-mortem boosted Hisoka to Prime Netero and the Royal Guards, which, yeah, even if it was a thing, it still wouldn't put him anywhere near to that level of power. In all honesty, I do actually think people are too focused on battle shonen tropes and expectations, and not enough on characterization. Hisoka may very well be more powerful now than he was before his battle with Chrollo, but that's not where the true danger comes from. The true danger comes from his change in attitude. No longer is he that perverse, monstrously perceptive clown that's pestering the boss for a fight like a crush that won't take a hint. Now he is a killer on the hunt, and the troop are not opponents to be fought or partners to be danced with, but prey to be slaughtered. This change in attitude is what's made Hisoka truly more dangerous than any reasonably attainable power boost ever could. And that's that. I have no idea where this whole post-mortem power-up notion came from, but I've been seeing it more and more. Probably because I've been talking more about Hisoka recently, now that I think about it. As I said, it's not literally impossible, just highly unlikely in my opinion. Now, as I've discussed on the community page, and as I'm sure most of you noticed, since it was difficult to miss, my channel got hacked recently, the stress of which shaved off a good week of my life. I thankfully got it back within 48 hours and no major damage was done, as far as I can tell. I've bolstered my Google security to the max, so hopefully that won't happen again. However, based on what some of you have been saying, some of these hacking methods can bypass most if not all security checks by appropriating the browser's cookies somehow. I am not particularly tech savvy, as should be obvious. In any case, thank you very much for sticking with the channel despite your subfeed getting spammed by obvious scam slop. The kind words also meant a lot, genuinely. Also, if you want, you can follow me on Twitter. I'll put a link down below. This way, if something like this happens again, I can notify you. I don't plan on using it too often since I don't like the platform, but I'll probably post on occasion. As always, thank you very much for watching. Your feedback is always appreciated. Subscribe if you like more content like this. I'd like to very much thank Kamaswamy and Matt B for going the extra mile in supporting the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.